Let's walk the talk on 92.7
and 106 FM.
It's 8 minutes after 10 o'clock. Dumelang, welcome to the second hour of the Clement Manyathela show. Thank you for staying with us here on 702. Always appreciate your contribution on the 702 open line. At 10:30, we are going to continue with our new series that we started last week, where we look at South Africa's historic ties with some of the world's superpowers. Last week, we looked at our historic ties with the USSR, when the Soviet Union consisted of about 15 or so Soviet socialist republics stretching across Europe and Asia. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, each forged a different path, and we looked at that path and where we feature as South Africa. Today, we're going to be looking at our historic ties with the US. And then at 11 o'clock, we do our World of Work feature. We'll be discussing the generational gap in the workplace and how you navigate those dynamics. 11:30, it's our health and wellness feature, and today we'll be talking about African hair. How does one take care of their hair without having many complications, and what are the do's and don'ts? There's a listener who's asked that we look into this. That's coming up on our health and wellness feature at 11:30.
702.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Let's walk the talk.
Right now, we start our conversation with political analyst and author Prince Mashele. He's here to set the record straight about that authorized/unauthorized biography of Action SA leader Herman Mashaba. I've got it here. The Outsider, the unauthorized biography of Herman Mashaba. So far, the latest development is that the publishing house has now decided to remove the book from the shelves. And I'm going to look at the statement that they released yesterday. They are saying that Jonathan Ball Publishers was unaware of any funding agreement between Prince Mashele and Herman Mashaba when we signed a publishing agreement with Mashele in 2022. We view this as a material non-disclosure on the part of the author and as a breach of trust. So what happens now? Prince Mashele, thank you so much for coming into studio. Good morning.
Thanks, Clement. Finally, the biggest culprit is out of the hole. It's good to be here.
How has it been when you had been under the waters?
It's been, I'm used to talking freely.
Yeah.
It's been frustrating, lawyers telling you don't speak because we're dealing with this and that.
Okay.
And I've been kicking and saying, I want to talk.
Yeah.
And finally, they freed me. I'm here. I want to engage with the public and explain what has happened.
Well, let's talk. So he's brought a number of documents and a number of books, because I assume he wants to illustrate and explain his point well. Let's start here. How much were you paid by Herman Mashaba to write this book?
Okay. I think let's start. I'll answer that question. But I would say let's start with a declaration, because there's something I need to declare publicly, because it's going to inform our discussion. I want to make two declarations. One, it's personal. The second is professional. And this relates to Brutus, who has generated this whole storm. So I want the public to know so that they understand where this thing is coming from. One, Brutus has been my personal friend for 25 years. I'm declaring this. I've met this fellow at the Investor of Venda 25 years ago, 1998. I won't get much into that. That friendship ended this year. I terminated it. The second declaration is professional, and this will take us into the book, and I'll start by answering your question. Each and every job that Brutus has held over the past 15 years, I was involved in securing that job. I can give you 5 jobs quickly in less than a minute, and I can go even 10 if you want. 15 years. His latest job was an advisor to an MMC in Johannesburg. I wrote a letter supporting his appointment. Now he's unemployed. The second job before that was working with me in this project of the book. Mm-hmm. He was my employee. The third job before he came into that, he was an advisor to an MMC again in Johannesburg. I wrote a letter in support of his employment.
On what basis are you writing the letter?
Because I was his former employer.
Okay,
so
as a former employer.
Reference.
Okay.
The fourth job that he had was a speech writer at the University of the Western Cape. I wrote a letter recommending him to be employed there.
Okay.
The fifth, which is the last, before then, he was a senior researcher for the Institute for Public Dialogue. I appointed him. He reported to me. I can go back, but there's no need. So I wanted to make this declaration that there's a professional and a personal relationship I've had with this gentleman.
Okay.
And he has earned income as either my employee or so that's the first.
And I'll ask more questions about this relationship later on. Now,
So
12 million rand, is that how much Herman Mashaba paid you?
Look, this, when it surfaced in public, and I'm not going to beat about the bushes, my hands were tied. It was part of the things that made me not to come out. The lawyer said, you have signed contracts. There are 2 contracts here. One with Herman Mashaba. The second contract is with Jonathan Ball Publishers. And the lawyer said, you have signed a non-disclosure regime. You don't want to be the one breaking that non-disclosure regime, because if you do so, you are going to open yourself up to a lawsuit, right? Which is why I couldn't confirm anything, and the lawyer said I must keep quiet. Okay. Now, I would not want to get into details about things that are contained in contracts that I have signed, because I am going to face the music from those who have signed a contract with me. What I can say to you is this, with regard to this 12.5 million. Number one, books in South Africa and all over the world are funded. Research gets funded. And personally, I have been involved in managing research projects with bigger budgets, by the way, in various organizations that I've managed. So I want to place that on record. So this 12.5 million that is flying about, it's not even the biggest of projects I've managed in terms of research. The last point is this. I will show you a book which you probably know, your listeners will know, this one, Steve Jobs, which is a biography of the late Steve Jobs by Walter Isaacson. Do you know how much money was involved in researching this book? I can tell you, if just go and do your research, a lot of money, number one. Number two, this author was invited by Steve Jobs himself to write a book. Right? No one has questioned this. There's a movie about it. This is the foremost authority on Steve Jobs. This is a book that was written by Walter Isaacson at the invitation. When I wrote the book on Mashaba, I was never invited by Mashaba. I went to him, and we can get into that. Yeah.
Please pass me that book of Steve Jobs. The difference between this book by Steve Jobs, that's written by Walter Isaacson, and the book that you have written, The Outsider, this biography of Herman Mashaba, is that it says on your book that this is an unauthorized biography. But if someone has funded you to write this book, it's not unauthorized, is it?
You know, that question, by the way, is the one that created all the confusion. And you are going to be shocked what I'm going to tell you, Clement. I did not give this book that title. Brutus has lied to the public. You see, your eyes are popping. I did not call this book the unauthorized biography. Me.
Who called it?
Here is evidence. You want to read to the listeners? This is the publishers. Read where I have highlighted. You can read the entire email if you want.
So I've got an email from Jill. Who's Jill?
Jill there's a signature there. Is of Jonathan Publishers.
Okay.
I've highlighted all the correspondence. So see where it comes from.
Hi, Prince. I think we should go for a close-up pic of him, not posed. So we underline that this is an independent, unauthorized book, and we need to visualize the pics I just sent you. So that what they're suggesting in this email is The Outsider, unauthorized biography of Herman Mashaba. Okay, but this is what this person is saying.
The final, we finalized. Look at the highlighted. There was a whole debate among themselves, and I'll tell you something more. And they finally settled on that.
Okay, just
let me
explain.
The listener
context of did you object to this book being called the unauthorized biography?
Let me tell you my preferred title that I gave to them. They rejected it. Yeah. I say my original idea was this: Herman Mashaba, the Outsider. That was my original idea.
Yeah, I see on the email you say, what about the outsider candidate? Okay.
Yeah. and then go. Here's the point, Clement, which I want to place on record. You're holding the evidence in front of you. I, Prince Mashele, did not give this book the title unauthorized. You know, anybody who has written books, you see, Brutus has not written a single book, by the way, in his life. But underline this. He has never signed a contract with a publisher. Anybody who has written a book knows this. The author is actually not the person who decides on the title.
Yeah.
You get consulted, but here's the thing, you get consulted. It's like writing a newspaper article. The author doesn't give the headline.
Yeah, but here's the problem though, Prince. You read this book before it was published.
Mm-hmm.
After it was published, you are the first person to receive the copy. You see it says The Outsider, the unauthorized biography of Herman Mashaba. Why did you not raise an objection?
No,
and say,
I did not object. I
with
accepted that you know what I did in order to deal with that problem, because I anticipated that there would be a storm in terms of interpretation. Have you read the book, by the way? Let's start
I
there.
started with it. In fact,
did you read the preface?
Yes, I did. Good. So it started. So you guys sent me a book. Your team sent me the book about last month or so, and I've just been reading another book. I said I'll get into it. I just started it recently. But quickly answer this.
Let me answer that question.
Why did you not object and say let's change that title? Let's reprint?
I accepted it because there was an explanation they gave me. They said it's for marketing purposes. They told me, the publishers. Then I accepted. So this is what I did to explain. In the preface, if you have read the book, you say you have. I have explained my understanding in terms of independence. It's there between page 3 and page 7. This is what I said. You can read for your readers.
It's going to take time.
Exactly. Let me explain.
You've understood
exactly
what it means and the involvement of Herman Mashaba in the book. Yeah,
I explain it in that book. I said in that preface that I have requested access to Herman Mashaba, and he has granted me access, and I've interacted with him extensively, and I explained the kind of interaction. And then I said, this is important to answer your question. There was a deal between me and Herman Mashaba. It's in the book that this is my book. I will have the final word.
Yeah.
An authorized biography, the subject has the final word. This is my book. Herman has no final word. Even in the contract that I have with him, by the way, I can quote it for you. Yeah. Where I guaranteed my independence, that Herman, I will have the final word. And I can tell you what happened. He pushed certain things and I said no during the writing. Okay, Prince, two questions from what we've discussed. Number one, do you accept that by you accepting this title that the publishers decided to go with, as you indicate, you were wrong to do that? Because we should have objected and said, let's rather reprint. I know you say as a publishers you want this for marketing purposes, but it's a misrepresentation. Do you at the very least accept that? That I was wrong to? You misrepresented what is because of the explanation from the publishers. They said, let's call it the unauthorized biography for marketing purposes. You accepted that, but it was wrong because it's a misrepresentation. It's not an unauthorized biography. Right, I'll show you another book by them, by the way. Do you see this? By Janet Smith, Patrice Motsepe, An Appetite for Disruption. Do you see what the publishers did? An unauthorized biography. Do you see what they did? What did they do? Here, did you see? They inserted unauthorized. Yeah. That's what. But we don't know if Janet. No, what the involvement of Janet was with Patrice Motsepe. No, I can read it for you. Yeah. What does it? Yeah, I've highlighted it. She says the same thing that I said about Herman. Yeah. She says, and I quote, because of the time constraints, and to undermine that he did not authorize his book, which was an express wish of his. It is contained in an epilogue in the final pages. I am sincerely grateful for his time and input. Listen to that. Thank you, Dr. Motsepe. I believe it makes the book more insightful in every way and therefore more valuable. So Motsepe has made an input into his book. Yeah, but you can do that with an authorized biography, an unauthorized biography, but you at least have to be very clear about it. I've been clear in the preface. But you're not answering my question. You are saying you accepted that this book must be titled the unauthorized biography because the publisher said it's for marketing purposes. Do you accept that that was a misrepresentation? You should have pushed back. I don't accept because I've explained it in the preface. You wanted an answer, clear one. Yes. So you are not going to take accountability for the publishers having said to you, we're going to go with this title
and lie to the readers, even though this is not an unauthorized biography?
I did not say the publishers lied to the readers.
They did lie.
Oh, well,
they lied.
You must take that up with the publishers. I have explained in the preface the origin of the book and the contextual meaning of unauthorized. I've explained. You say you have read. It's interesting that you're not saying what you have understood.
So, wait, what do you understand to be an authorized and unauthorized biography?
Okay, here's my understanding. Simple. An authorized biography, the subject has the final word. An unauthorized biography, the author has the final word. With regard to the book you're holding in your hands, I had the final word.
An unauthorized biography is a book about a person's life written without their permission or involvement in the book.
Good. If you do so, Janet Smith book is
let's talk about this.
No. You can't limit it to my book because remember, by the way, this Janet Smith book was published by Jonathan Ball.
We'll bring Janet later.
I want to make a point. I can't make a point the way you want me to make it. Here's the thing. If you say that the author must not be involved, right? Janet Smith, in the biography of Patrice Motsepe, she stated clearly that he was involved. Yet it is written here unauthorized. Why is it that it is only my book that has a problem with this unauthorized, but Janet Smith's book, where Motsepe was involved, nobody is questioning it, and published by the same publisher, by the way? Answer that question.
And I'm saying we will question it, right? But here we've brought you to talk about the outsider.
You want a straightforward answer?
Yeah.
It is because that piece of paper that you have read is incorrect. What you have read, that definition.
It's incorrect.
Completely incorrect. Okay. I don't even know who wrote it.
Okay. So why is the publisher, by the way, this is a definition from the dictionary of how they explain what an unauthorized biography is. Why is the publisher then coming back and saying, there was a material non-disclosure on the part of the author in the breach of trust?
That's very interesting. My goodness. Do you know, let me reveal something. They actually withdrew this book twice. It's the first book to be withdrawn twice. The first withdrawal, the public does not know about it. It was last week, Tuesday. I sat in front of a high-powered delegation of publishers of the Jonathan Ball publisher. They told me that we were withdrawing the book. They said in 2 hours they would.
What was the reason?
Yeah. The reason was that I have breached trust. I asked them a question. Is there a provision in your contract that I have breached? They couldn't come up with. Even in that, by the way, that statement, as we speak, Jonathan Ball cannot show you one provision. I have their contract is here that I have. Let me explain, because this is very important. This project, I started working on it. The idea, I approached Herman Mashaba in 2018. He was still a mayor of Johannesburg at the time. I signed a contract with Herman Mashaba in March 2019, long before Action SA and all of that. I signed a contract with Jonathan Ball late in 2022. Listen to this chronology is very important. When they gave me their contract, this is what I did. I gave it to my lawyers. I said to my lawyers, look at it. Is there a provision in that requires me to reveal the funding of the project? There was none. There's none. Number one. Number two, Jonathan Ball didn't ask me to reveal the funding of the project. And then my lawyer said, sign. So when I had a meeting with Jonathan Ball, by the way, when they told me they were withdrawing, I asked them, have you ever asked me to reveal the sources of the funding? They said no. Okay,
let me ask you this question then. Why did you then lie to the public and say this book was self-funded?
Which public?
Okay, put on your earphones.
Yeah.
Abel, let's play.
Are you referring to JJ? Oh, I'll answer that very easily.
Play the clip?
Yeah. Believe it or not, I fund my own books. How do I fund my own books? I'm a consultant. I work.
Yeah.
So I raise money to do intellectual work. This book was funded like that. I funded my own project.
So Mashele was not involved in the fundraising?
No, Mashele was not involved in the funding of the book. I funded the book myself. Yeah. Here is the thing. The way I do my work, I consult, I do many other things, I raise money.
That's what you said on JJ Tavani's show. You lied.
No, it's not a lie. I may explain. So I'm here to explain. Clement, if I sign a contract with you now, I will respect it. I'll never break it. I signed a contract with Herman Mashaba with a non-disclosure regime. I could never break that contract without a written permission from that contract. Just like I won't tell you what is in the contract between me and Jonathan Ball without receiving an express permission from Jonathan Ball. What I have told you, by the way, about the contract between me and Jonathan Ball is what is not in their contract. So I was under legal obligation not to reveal.
But how is this going to change things? You are being transparent. You're telling us that Herman Mashaba paid me 12.5 million rand. How is this going to muddy the waters?
Did I tell you that?
Well, let me read you a statement.
My statement.
From Action SA.
It's not mine.
Action SA notes various media reports which have incorrectly sought to make this matter about the integrity of Mashaba. A plan to finance... By the way, this is a statement that they released after talking to Herman.
I know the statement.
So Herman has signed off on it. A plan to finance the book was presented by Mashele to Mashaba in October 2018. But when it became clear that raising the funds would be challenging, Mashaba agreed to provide the initial finance of 12.5 million rand in his personal capacity. This is what Herman Mashaba signed off on. You are telling us that Herman Mashaba, according to your agreement, wouldn't want you to disclose this, but they're disclosing it in their statement.
Let me tell you one thing. You see, calm down, Clement.
Oh, no, I am calm. Don't worry
calm
about
down.
it. I'm very calm.
Here's the thing. When I gave that interview to JJ, right, it was before that statement was issued.
Yes.
Do you concede that?
Yes, I do concede that.
Number one, good.
Yeah.
Do you concede, therefore, that at that moment I was under legal obligation not to reveal?
And you were also under legal obligation, not legal, but you were also under obligation, and I would add moral obligation to be truthful. What you could have said to JJ is, I don't want to tell you who has not funded my book. I don't want to comment. But you decided to tell the public I self-funded and Herman Mashaba was not involved. And that is a lie. That's different from I've got legal obligations to the contract and I'm not able to comment on that.
Okay. Look, if that's how you would have framed it, I accept that's your framing. By the way, Jonathan Ball asked me if there had been a provision in our contract obligating you to reveal the funding, how would you have framed it? They asked me. What does that say? It tells you that different people frame different statements differently. So interpret it the way you want to interpret it. But I'm explaining to the public that I was under legal obligation not to reveal the sources of the funding.
So why didn't
I did not reveal it to the public. I did not reveal it to Jonathan Ball. I did not reveal it to you.
Why didn't you say that to JJ? Why didn't you say I have legal limitations. I can't say who has been involved. Why did you lie and say Herman is not involved? Because that's a lie.
I did not want to create the impression. You see, if I had framed it the way you did, right, the impression would have been created that Herman funded the project.
He did. He signed off on a statement that confirms that he did.
But remember, Clement, we are talking about the time when I gave an interview to JJ before that statement. And by the way, let me respond to that statement. As you can see, that statement is a statement of a political party. It's not my statement. I'm giving you my statement now. So don't hold me to a statement that was never issued by me.
No, I'm not. I'm reading this statement because you are telling me that you can't reveal certain aspects of your agreement with Herman Mashaba. And I'm saying to you, Herman Mashaba has already done so.
Yeah.
So that statement doesn't hold. Herman Mashaba himself confirms that I gave this man 12.5 million rand. What stops you from saying that?
No, look, okay, let me answer that. Clement, when Herman Mashaba, the Action SA released a statement yesterday, they contacted me. So it's not like I'm not aware of that statement. They showed me that statement after they released it. By the way, if they had showed me that statement before they released it, I would have had a problem with it. But I accept that the statement is out. It's the party, and they consulted with Herman. What they have revealed there with regard to the contract between me and Herman, it's a matter for Herman and I to deal with. Here is the thing. I'm not denying. What is it that I'm denying?
You're denying that Herman Mashaba funded this book.
I didn't deny that. Play any clip where I have denied it. Here, not the ENCA one.
Should I repeat this?
Not the ENCA one. But I have explained that the ENCA one, I have said that.
Okay, let me ask this. Yeah. Did Herman Mashaba fund this book?
Let me tell you, I've had discussions with Herman. I've discussions with Herman recently. He has permitted me to reveal that yes, he did Yeah.
How much did he fund the book for?
It's 12.5 million.
What did you do with that 12.5 million rand?
That 12.5 million went into the research project, into the whole research project. It was a 4-year research project.
Brutus says you paid him 3 million rand for that. What did you do with the other 9 million rand?
You must ask Brutus.
No. He doesn't know. You have the other 9 million. You paid Brutus 3 million for the research. What did you do with the other 9 million that Herman Mashaba gave you?
Let me tell you one thing. I'll never confirm anything that Brutus said. Why? I'll tell you why. I've never had a contract with Brutus, by the way. It will shock you. Brutus will never produce any contract.
You paid him 3 million without a contract?
No. Listen. I'm saying I will never confirm anything that Brutus has said. Herman Mashaba didn't say that Brutus was paid 3 million.
Did you pay 3 million to Brutus without a contract?
Oh, listen to this. You're not following me. I am saying to you, I will never confirm anything that Brutus has said because,
okay.
Yeah, Herman Mashaba has never said I paid Brutus.
Did you pay Brutus 3 million without a contract?
I am telling you that I will not reveal what I paid Brutus.
Why?
Because of contractual obligations. Remember, there are contracts.
He's revealed it. He doesn't have a problem with it.
No, that's okay. You know why he revealed it? Do you know why?
I don't really care why he did it.
No, I'll tell you why. It's because the man has never signed a single contract. Not one.
Okay. You are not able to tell us if you have indeed paid Brutus 3 million rand.
I will not tell you that. It's him who told you that.
Okay. Are you able to tell me what you've done with the remaining money?
I can tell you.
What did you
What
do?
I will not do, I'll not go into item per item.
Okay.
This was a 4-year project, and a detailed budget was presented to Mr. Mashaba, outlining what would happen in year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4.
Yeah.
That money went into the activities that were detailed in a budget. By the way, this impression that I pocketed this money, I wish I could earn 12-point-something million.
Yeah, I don't even think you pocketed it. I just think I've never heard of anyone who gets paid 12.5 million to write a book.
Yeah, let me explain. Yeah, because people say, wow, Prince Mashele got 12-point-something million. No. This money went into the research, right? Number one. Number two, it was a multi-year project. It was not a 1-year project, it was a 4-year project. The thing about someone being paid 12-point-something million to write a book, it depends on which book you're talking about. If you were, for example, to talk about this book, Harry Oppenheimer, right? The biography. Do you know how much money was involved in paying this, in producing this book? Published by, you must ask the author of the book. Because if you look at the research that went into it, there is a lot of money that was involved. So here's the thing. Authors, I am the only author, by the way, who is asked about how much money it takes to produce a book. But I'm holding books here.
So Prince, I spoke to experienced authors yesterday. They told me they have never in their lives heard of a book that costs 12 million rand.
You know, Clement, if people were to know how much you earn, some people would be shocked. I know the salaries in the industry. They would be very
Why would
shocked.
they be shocked?
No, because of what you are paid. Yeah, but anyway, let's just go there.
No.
Number one, number two, number two.
Why would they be shocked? Because what? The money is little?
Because they don't know. Some listeners might think, "Whoa, this is too much, man." But let me tell you one thing.
Or too little money.
There are people, by the way, who would laugh and say this is too little money. The 12.5 million I'm talking about. There are people with money.
No, I've never met anyone who said this is too little.
Let me explain to you. Let me explain this thing. I need to demystify this thing. You know, when you want to judge a book in terms of what is worth, read it first so that you can relate the content of the book and the money, right? Now, the interesting thing here, no one has actually commented on the content of the book and say this kind of research. By the way, I heard what Mandy Winner said. You know, if she says she's a ghostwriter, I'm also a ghostwriter. I would pay Mandy Winner more, by the way, if she were to work with me.
No, even Mandy said, Clement, no one would ever even pay me 500,000 rand to write a book.
And then Brutus tells you he was paid 3 million.
Which is that's why I'm asking, what is that 3 million for? He says he was doing research.
Yeah.
But what is it for? And we'll get into your relationship with Brutus in a moment. We've just taken a decision that we'll continue with this conversation great. So that we give you enough time, and there are some listeners who want to ask.
Sure.
You were just about to explain what the remainder of the money, the other millions, went to.
Yeah, but I explained. I don't know if you were listening.
No, then you diverted.
Okay, no, I finished my explanation. Let me repeat for you so that you get it clearly.
Yeah.
This was a 4-year project. There was a budget for year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4. The money went into the activities, research activities, that eventually produced the book. That's my answer.
12 million rands went into the research activities.
Are you disputing it?
That's a lot of money. And the person who researched the book is even able to give us the receipts and give us the bank statements to demonstrate to us that you paid him 3 million rand.
So what do you want me to produce?
What I want you to clarify is, if the person who was a senior researcher for this book says, I got 3 million rand, how are you telling us now that the entire 12.5 was spent on research activities when the senior researcher of the book says 3 million and he's willing to prove it?
Yeah, but here's the thing, Clement. The senior researcher didn't tell you on what was the other money spent. He didn't tell you. Did he tell you?
He doesn't know.
Oh, exactly.
I interviewed him yesterday.
I am giving you an answer, and I'm asking you, are you disputing what I'm telling you?
Yes. Based on the fact that he was a senior researcher for this book, and he says, I can even show you that I was paid 3 million rand. If you say the 12.5 went there, who else did you pay then to research this book?
Yeah, you see now you are getting into a territory where I must now reveal other people were involved in the book who had a confidential contract and bits of work that they did, right? That's exactly where I don't want to go. So if one of them is willing,
you can't hide.
No.
That's what you did.
No, if your employer, if your employer, you Clement, 702, they were to reveal how much they're paying you to the public or to me without your consent, your employer would be in trouble.
True.
Exactly.
True.
So Brutus was not the only man working on the project, by the way, right? There are others who were paid because they performed specific roles in the project. And this is the information that ties my hands.
I don't need their names.
Exactly.
I just need you to tell me.
I can't reveal.
Yeah, don't tell me their names.
Yeah.
Don't tell me their names. Brutus says you paid him 3 million. Were there other researchers involved? How many were there and how much did you pay them?
They were other persons involved in the project, and there were other activities. Let me just give you some idea, because
how many people and how much were they paid?
Listen, the research was not only about people; it was also about activities.
Yeah.
If I were to tell you that almost twice or 3 times per week over a period of 3 years, we had to follow Mashaba wherever he went, right?
So that's transport costs.
That comes from the project,
the funds.
Right? Yeah. If I were to tell you that we had to purchase equipment related to the research.
Equipment like what?
There are pictures here, right? Did you see the book?
Hey, but what equipment are you purchasing? You purchasing pictures? I mean, I see pictures here of. By the way, Herman Mashaba has brought these pictures in studio before.
No, that's
you didn't need to purchase this.
No, page through. There are other pictures there. Don't. No. Let me show you. Bring the book. Let me show you. You see, you don't want to
the
see
listeners because they're not seeing what we're doing. What did you purchase? What did you purchase?
No, Clement. The book involved following Herman Mashaba over a period of 3 years. Number one.
Yeah.
The book involved traveling around, chasing a lot of people to be interviewed. And by the way, in the acknowledgement section, I actually don't mention these people by name, because most of them, senior politicians, they said don't.
Yeah.
Right. It involved following a lot of people to be chasing around, a lot of people to be interviewed. It involved a lot of traveling.
Yeah.
It involved. As you can see, I wanted to show you the pictures, not the ones that you are talking about.
Yeah.
It involves a professional cameraman.
Okay, these pictures are old, Prince.
No, let me show you. I don't know why you can't see.
These ones from the city. Okay, they are pictures.
Yeah.
But what equipment did you purchase? Is it cameras?
I can tell you there was a new camera equipment that were purchased. And by the way, the items.
Did that cost you 500,000 rand, the camera?
But who said it cost 500,000?
I'm trying to account for the 9 million rand, Prince, that was spent on researching this book, because it's still not making sense to me. So I'm waiting for you to say 1 million went to, let's say 1 million went to travel.
Yeah.
2 million went where? I'm trying to account for the money, because it just boggles my mind that someone gave you 12 million rand to write a book about them, and 3 million of that went to a senior researcher, and I'm not hearing you account for the remaining 9 million rand and what it was used for.
Yeah, but you know what you want? You want me to tell you item by item, and that's exactly what I told you. I don't want to go there.
Okay.
Yeah, that's if you don't accept that, I don't know.
I can't force you. I accept that. Okay. So let's go straight to the calls. Prince, if you can put on your headphones. Let's start with Rixon in Sandton. Rixon, good morning.
Good morning, Clement. How are you?
I'm all right. Go ahead. Oh, what happened? Please, let's get Rixon back. Tsepo in Northcliffe. In the meantime, let's get to you. Hi.
Hi, Clement. Thanks for this interview. I think the one thing that we've established today is that, this guy thought he's going to come here and just whitewash this thing, We've established that he's unethical. Even in law, there's something called the moral scale, which is broken into pieces. But another thing, Clement, he said to us that he has no contractual obligation. He's never signed a contract.
Brutus.
Yeah, and then but he says to him, when you ask him, so you paid him without a contract, how much? Where did the other money go? He says, no, I can't talk about it because I signed the contract. Already he's contradicting himself. I think this guy came here to undermine the rest of us, all of us listening, because he's talking about contracts and legal, like none of us are aware of these things. It's a new concept that's been discovered by Prince Mashele.
All right, yeah.
And he's wasted a lot of time, man.
All right, Tsepo in Northcliffe got you. Lipete in Centurion, hi. Hi, Lipete.
Hello.
Hi, go ahead.
Hi, Clement. I'm a researcher myself.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm also an author. I published 4 books.
Yeah.
So I know about this matters. I don't say the guy is lying, but I think there's some element of exaggeration, because costing varies anyway. And with a biography, is mostly what we call a narrative of ascent, someone's journey throughout life. And you interview the subject matter. You don't follow them around currently. That's not a biography. And again, you require old photos rather than new photos. So I don't know where the costing was incurred. And 12 million is way out of kilter.
Yeah,
that type of work would be more than $1 million at most.
Hey, I thought maybe I don't understand books, Lepete. Thanks for your contribution. Rixon, we've got you back in Sandton. Hi, you saying we're not being fair to Prince?
No, Clement, I'm just saying, first, we are not told, except somebody who we're not even sure if they are authors, coming in and say they've written book and what are they, which all we know they may be lying. If we could have a clear understanding of really what it costs to research a book, and that type of book over 4 years, the things that Prince is planning to do, it will give us a better learning. But I'm just saying, what I'm hearing you to be almost asking him to declare his models of operation, the business operandum that he uses. Many people don't even know how they run their businesses, and they make more money probably than Chris made. He spoke about a book of Steve Forbes at the beginning, and I would have loved to have known more information on that one, because he's a highly respected person as to what did it cost. Over what period of time, the quality of the people that were researching.
Yeah.
I think it will educate us anything more. I think we are analyzing things unfairly, in my view.
Yeah, okay. No, I appreciate your contribution and your assessment, Rixon. I have to say, when I brought Prince here, I brought Prince to come talk about The Outsider. This is a book that is written. I didn't limit him from mentioning other books. I did ask questions. Okay, how much did it cost Janet or whoever to write the book? He said, you go ask the author. But what I'm saying is, what I don't think I will do is for us to divert to other people who have written similar books, right? Because those people have not come out and lied about whether the book is authorized or unauthorized or how much money was funded by. Should we look into that? Absolutely. But now we can't allow whataboutism. We want to speak about The Outsider. because there's information that's been revealed that there was no transparency and honesty about how this book has been funded, and that's why we wanted to get.
Granted, I accept that, Clement. I won't challenge you on that, but I'm saying even with that, we still know wiser in terms of what does it cost to research a book, the type of book that he has done, over the period that he has taken, the type of research that he has done. You see, if we had that sort of information, I would probably agree with you that, and we are fair enough to him. But I just think that in the absence of that sort of information, I think we are. And
I did ask for it also, the information. I did ask, but yeah, as Prince said, I'm asking him to now declare and itemize where 10 rand went to. So, because I was trying and find a way to account. And again, yesterday, I did call some people who own publishing houses, because I'm not an author. I'm not in the publishing industry. I spoke to Mandy Wiener, my colleague. She referred some people that I spoke to, because I was trying to understand, does it really cost that amount of money to put out a book like this and research it? There's a question from a listener here, Prince, about your relationship with Brutus. What ended, because you started by declaring that you guys have been friends for 25 years. That relationship ended this year. I even said to Brutus yesterday that I'm questioning why he's only coming out now, because it looks like Lena is coming out because things have gone sour in your relationship. What happened?
Okay, I'll answer Brutus, but I think we should be fair and answer even Tep, because he has raised a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me put it clear on the table. I have not been unethical in this project. Number one, I've not stolen anyone's money. So no one has made such an accusation. Herman Mashaba has admitted that he funded the project. He has declared the amount. I have accepted that that's the amount. I don't know what is unethical about it. 3, my rates, by the way, now you are going to drive me into the consultancy work I do. If you were to know the rates I charge for the kind of work I do, and I can't tell you, if you want to consult, we can talk. People like Mandy Wiener probably would be shocked. The fact that I'm able to negotiate such deals, by the way, there is absolutely unethical about it. So I wanted to clarify that.
Let me just to follow up on that. You want to talk about ethics? Let me then ask this. Were you an advisor to Herman Mashaba?
Never.
When he was the mayor, you've never advised him?
Never.
When he was starting a political party, you didn't advise him?
Never.
And he's never paid you for that?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Okay.
Yeah. And I can tell you there's no one who can produce information to that.
Okay.
You can call me back if you have something.
All right. Brutus, what happened to your relationship with him?
Good. This is what happened to Brutus.
Yeah.
Brutus, I discovered early this year that he has taken information that arose from the research project and handed it over to Mpho Phalatse and a political party I will not mention. He breached the confidence and trust that I had with him as a researcher in the project.
So for listeners who may not be aware, Mpho Phalatse is married to Brutus.
Yes.
Madala.
Now, Clement, what do you do when you have an employee who takes information that employee acquired in the course of doing work for you and he hands it over to third parties that are not supposed to do so? I don't know what you would do. This is what I did. I called him and I said, Brutus, why did you do this? He was combative in response to me. At that point, I knew my relationship with him is over. I terminated the relationship, number one. Number two, I told him I'll take measures to protect the integrity of my work.
Yeah.
I then instructed the publisher to delete the lines of acknowledgement in the book that I had already written. Why? Because acknowledging a researcher is the prerogative of the author. I am under no obligation to acknowledge anyone. Those who have been acknowledged in the book, by the way, who are still there, it was out of my generosity. And
this is an employee that you said you had no contract with?
Correct.
But you're saying you terminated your contract with him?
No, I didn't say terminated the contract.
You terminated your agreement.
That's what you are not listening to me, because you've got
I'm trying to understand. You said you had no contract with him.
I said,
did you do work with this guy to research this book without a contract?
I said, yes. You know, you do want me to explain why?
Why?
Yeah, let me explain, because this is very important. and Brutus cannot dispute this. He has worked with me and for me previously on the basis of trust.
Okay.
He, by the way, I said to Brutus when we started working on this project, Brutus, draft a contract and give it to me. I will sign. He said to me, I'll come back to you. He had my weight in terms of his expectations and in terms of how it would work, right? We spoke about it.
So that's like Prime Media telling me as an employee to draft my own contract, right? They're hiring me, but I must draft my own contract. That's what you told Brutus.
I can tell you, in my work, by the way, I have drafted contracts with parties that were giving me work, and say, go draft a contract, bring it to us, and we will see and sign.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have worked with Brutus for years on the basis of trust. I have honored my word.
All right.
Yeah. So when I talk about contracts, by the way, and this is what Sep was saying, I have signed a contract with the publisher. There is a contract. I have signed a contract with Herman. Exactly.
Okay.
So don't confuse these contracts.
Thank you for clarifying that. Just my last question. We're so out of time. Was JJ Tabani paid any money?
By whom?
By you?
Oh, certainly not.
Okay, so he just did this out of...
Yeah.
Because JJ Tabani, you gave him the manuscript to read.
It was not given by me, by the publisher.
Oh, the publisher.
Yeah, and I have agreed with the
Okay.
publisher because they ask you, who do you think? And then they handed it over to, he read it. That was his judgment.
Okay, and he wasn't paid for that.
Not a cent.
All right. Prince, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate you coming to answer some of our key questions just so we can have clarity around this issue. Thank you.